Blog Talk Radio.
Oh, it's time to get real. Oh, yeah. It's a new experience. Reality, spirituality. Yeah, keep your ears open for this one, man. Reality, spirituality. You got a question for RLN? Reality, spirituality. Yeah, it's time to get some answers, baby. Reality, spirituality. Oh, now we get real. Reality, spirituality. Yeah, it's time to get down. Reality, spirituality. Yeah, you gonna feel good now. Real good. Now, that's what I'm talking about. Time to get real.
Welcome, everyone. Welcome to Reality Spirituality. Yes, I'm your host, Global Happiness Specialist Rebecca L. Norrington. Thank you for being here. Thank you for sharing the show. Welcome to Reality Spirituality Radio. Who is Rebecca Norrington? Specialty, happiness specialist. Who the hell? Oh, I know. Forgive me just for a brief intro, but the whole happiness specialist is a title that someone gave me actually years ago, decades ago, and I just stuck with it. And what that means is, especially for my new listeners, what that means is that in every moment, I make a conscious decision in choosing happiness, meaning choosing peace. And when I say happiness, it's interchangeable with peace. It's interchangeable with contentment. It's interchangeable with balance. It's interchangeable with that feel-good vibration. You know, that light vibration. That's when I say when I'm talking about happiness. And let me just give you my definition. My definition of happiness is the ability to be at peace. The ability to be at peace, the ability to feel peaceful, the ability to vibrate peace, regardless of what's happening outside in the world, regardless of what's happening, regardless of what happens, and regardless of what doesn't happen. This happiness is a state of being. It's a state of mind. It is a state. And it doesn't matter what's happening to you when you are rooted and when you are grounded and when your foundation is peace. And so on this show, what I do is I just share with you how. And it's really, really very simple. It's a very simple formula. The formula for happiness is a simple one. When I say the formula for happiness, the formula is that it is a practice skill. Happiness is a practice skill, and it depends on what you practice. In other words, there are behaviors that we have all been taught and programmed to behave like, and a lot of those programmed behaviors actually subtract from happiness. So the first part of the practice starts with gradually eliminating the behaviors that have been proven to subtract from happiness, and then adding and cultivating behaviors that have been established that will add to happiness. So some of the behaviors that subtract from happiness, we talk about it every week: having expectations, blaming someone or a circumstance for how you feel, comparing yourself to others, worrying, a lack of acceptance of yourself and others, believing words have power. Yeah, that's a real one. Noticing what other people are doing, meaning you're in somebody else's business, being impatient. All of these things subtract from your happiness. And when I say happiness is a practice skill, all I do is on this show is share what to practice. I share what to practice, and I share what to eliminate. And over a period of time, one of the things that adds to happiness is practicing patience. Practicing patience adds to happiness. In fact, patience is not taught, is it? Is patience taught? No. What's really taught is impatience. practicing patience will add to your happiness. And today's topic is another one that we've covered in very various ways, but it always keeps coming back because the topic of today's show is trust and practicing trust. And what does that look like? What does that feel like? What does that mean? How does that evolve? And how do you practice trusting? The interesting thing is we hear trust and, interchangeable word. It's faith, trust, faith. It's all the same. It's believing. It's believing. It's believing, having a deep belief in an entity that is not, you're not able to see, you're not really able to measure, but there is evidence. There is definite evidence of the universe. And I use the term universe. Some people use other terms, God, spirit, higher power, source energy. It doesn't matter the term. Practicing trust or having trust in that entity, in an entity that creates worlds, is one of the biggest foundations. We talk about foundations. It's just like if you're building a house, you want your foundation strong, you want your foundation durable, you want your foundation to last, you want your foundation rooted in something solid. And so one of the foundational tools when you make a commitment to prioritize happiness and you really begin to practice eliminating the behaviors that subtract from happiness and cultivating the behaviors that add, when you start practicing, and I mean, when I say practicing, I mean in every single moment of every single day, practicing trusting. Now, the interesting thing when I say trust, I had a one-on-one during this week, and I've known this person, and we've had conversations about trust. Oh my gosh, for years. And I was speaking to him, and I said, well, don't you trust? And the revelation came was, yes, I do trust when things are going well. Yes, I do trust when the sun is out. Yes, I do trust when I'm feeling good. But when I'm challenged, and I'm talking for this one-on-one, and what he shared with me, he says, when I'm challenged, I don't really think about trusting, because usually what happens is I start to worry, I start to think about what could go wrong, I start to have these negative future thoughts, and he went on and on and on and realized that even after all these years, and that includes myself too, after all these years, there was always something new to discover. When you get on this path, and it is a path, and you get on, not when you get on the path, because you are on your own path, but when you make a conscious decision to practice what adds to your happiness, and to make a commitment and prioritize happiness. When you really make that commitment, and it's number one, the trust is a foundational tool. And what that means is, when you practice trust, there is no time to worry. It is impossible to worry when you practice trust, when you trust. And the interesting thing about trusting, we've all heard about have faith, trust, same thing, faith, trust. But the challenge comes from when you're challenged. I've said this I've said this so many times. It's very easy when the sun is out, when the sun is out, 80 degrees outside, beautiful day, there's a slight breeze, It's very easy to practice trusting or to say that, yes, you trust when everything's going well. So the real practice, the real skill, the real test is when you're challenged, when you're in the middle of the storm, can you say, hey, universe, I trust. Universe, I trust you. And whatever is happening in this moment, I believe that is there to serve me. Whatever is happening in this moment, I know that is happening for my betterment. I know that it is happening to take me to another level of consciousness or understanding. I know it's happening in order for me to evolve. It's very, very telling when somebody says that they trust and they believe and they have faith, and then they worry at the same time. Because I'm gonna scratch my head and say, really? You trust? And you can also say that you worry, because you either are worrying or you're either trusting. It's impossible to do both. It's impossible to trust and worry at the same time. At least that's my take on it. That's my spin on it. Trusting eliminates worrying. Trusting eliminates any worrying. When I say trusting, practicing trusting eliminates a lot of extra baggage that you don't need to carry around. Practicing trusting means that you are open to the unknown. Practicing trusting means that you are okay with uncertainty. You are at ease with uncertainty. You are at peace when the future is uncertain. Practicing trust, and when you really commit to it, you will begin to live in a place that is so it's so peaceful, meaning there's really nothing to do. Can you imagine if you never worried ever again? How all that time would be spent? So when I say trust, it's really about the practice of it. And let's see, how do we practice trusting? Well, the first thing I'm going to suggest is just to ask for help. I've said this 1,000,000 times. I've said it 1,000 times. I know 1,000, 1,000,000. I've said it so many times that I always ask the universe for help every single morning. Hey, universe. Yeah, I do say, hey, universe. How do I practice trust more? How can I trust more? How can I learn to trust? And when you are having a conversation, because part of your responsibility, my dear audience, is to be active in having and establishing a relationship with the universe, a relationship with God, a relationship with Source, a relationship with Spirit. Developing that relationship, and when I say developing it, it's really about having a conversation. You have a daily conversation. You know, you talk on the phone with your friends or your family or your coworkers. It's the same thing with the universe. It's having a daily interaction. It's not having interactions when I need help. It's having interactions all throughout the day as if you have a best friend. Not as if you have a best friend. You have a best friend. I look at the universe, I view the universe as an extension of me. An extension of me and a best friend, for lack of any other terminology that I can use at this time. The trusting is really interesting. So I'm going to ask you a question, my dear audience. When I talked about worrying means that you don't trust. So my question to you is, what percentage do you worry? I mean, I'm talking throughout the day. When I say worry, is it the 10% off throughout the day, 20% throughout the day? Is it 50-50, half the time you're worried, half the time you're not? what is the percentage that you trust and what is the percentage that you worry? See, because when I say happiness is a practice skill, it's not only about what you practice. It's really about the research, the discovery, the microscopic, the dust, the stuff that's in the corners, that's in the dark that, the light, only the light can expose. Only the light can expose. And when I say only the light can expose, the universe, we all are on our own personal journey. And the universe, crafts a personal, custom, a journey for each of us. I say we are as different as our fingerprints, and you've heard that a million times, but it is a custom fit. And that's one of the reasons why being in anybody else's business is a problem. When I say it's a problem, being in anybody else's business always subtracts from my own happiness, unless I'm in somebody's business and I'm clapping, I'm applauding, I'm admiring, I'm in awe of, I'm learning from. But if I'm in somebody's business finding fault and making judgments, guess what? All of that is subtracting from my happiness. Now, back to the trusting and practicing trust. So number one, it's up to you to make a commitment and decide whether or not you feel or you believe that your trust muscle needs to be stronger. Your trust muscle needs a little exercise. Your trust muscle needs a little strength. And when you make that decision, then you go into this other place of when you say I want to make a commitment, I want to develop my trust. And see, one of the biggest what I found to be true in practicing, and when I say happiness is a practice skill, in practicing, is that the practice of trusting and the practice of having more faith isn't really talked about, isn't really valued, isn't really discussed, isn't really awarded. No, we get awards for best musical, best movie, we get awards for best song of the year, we get awards for all of that, woman of the year, but we don't get awards for personal development, personal growth, personal introspection, personal discovery, dynamics, growth, expanding, awareness. We don't really get a lot of accolades for that. And with that, I've come to believe that the personal growth and the personal shift, the personal growth, the energy shift, the vibrational shift, all of that doesn't seem like or doesn't feel like it is valued. If I tell you that a year ago, 2 years ago, there were some people in my life that, I wasn't really happy with. If you listen to the show, you know the story about, the legal challenges I had for a year and a half. I wasn't really happy with the attorney. I wasn't really happy with the so how about this? I wasn't happy with what the universe had planned for me. I wasn't happy with the unfolding of the circumstances. I wasn't really happy. And the thing is, with that, with trusting, what I've realized is that over a period of time, when you practice and when you really make a decision that happiness is important, when I say is important, is a priority, the practice becomes purposeful in the way that you're feeling your body. It's hard for me to describe, but your vibration shifts. Your whole, how you change perspectives, and you said, I never thought of something like that before, and you've had real big shifts, whether life shifts, life shifts, information shifts, but another concept came to you, and now you're looking at life just a little bit differently. You're looking at life a little bit tweaked, a little bit differently than you've always had. When I say that, the trust factor, what happens works gradually over time. The patience with trusting. In other words, when you practice it and you ask for it and you have conversations with the universe, your trust level grows, your worry level diminishes, disappears. But it happens over a period of time. It doesn't happen overnight. And I know we're in a world where overnight, I want it now, especially with the convenience. I mean, Amazon has the same day delivery, a 2-hour delivery, 3-hour delivery. I want it now. I mean, we are an instant results type of world. Well, at least let me just speak of from the United States. An instant results. And the thing with growth, spiritual growth, it is usually not overnight. Usually it takes a period of time. A period of time, it's just like anything else, just like a fine wine, just like anything that, you marinate a piece of meat you smoke a piece of meat for 24 hours. It's the same kind of thing with this practice. And the trust that, know that things will shift. Your vibration shifts, your energy shifts. And when you do have an energy shift, guess what? Now you're at a new level. When I say a new level, we all start off at a level. And the level, I'm not saying a level is good or a level is bad, but there are different levels to awareness. There are different levels to consciousness. There are different levels to trust. There are different levels to our personalities. There's different levels to learning. There's just different levels. And so when I say trust, there's no being critical of self. There's no beating self up. It's just what level are you on? Have you been able to eliminate? When is the last time you worried? What do you worry about? Why are you worried? And let me say this too. That entity that does all the worrying, that the thoughts that are worry thoughts, that's all coming from the mind, that's all coming from the ego, that's all coming from a place where really there's nothing, when I say trust, there's nothing to be trusted. When you have those thoughts of worry and you're lacking trust and you're feeling off or you're feeling not balanced, imbalanced, and you just ask for help, universe. How, in the moment, in the middle of the storm, universe, how do I trust? How do I practice trust in the moment where I'm most challenged? That's just a question that you ask, and guess what? You will always get an answer. When I ask about trusting, when I say what behaviors add to happiness, practicing trust, having trust, blind trust is one of the biggest elements, ingredients to being happy. letting go, and trusting. The other thing, letting go, because when you trust, like I said, there's no time, there's no room, there's no space for worrying. Can you imagine living the rest of your life without worry? Even if that was the only thing, even if that's the only thing that you get out of the show today, is to practice trusting and to eliminate worrying, eventually eliminate worrying. That is going to take you to another place. That is going to take you to another way to view life, another way to experience life. The thing about trust is the ability to recognize that your thoughts, your worried thoughts, are not true. It's just that simple. Worried thoughts, worried thoughts, they're just not true. The thoughts that are future thoughts that cause the worrying, that are the reason for the worry, how true are they? And when I say, are the thoughts true, the practice is to, okay, you have the thoughts of worrying. You're worrying. You're in the middle of worrying. And while you're in the middle of that, number one, what you want to do is be aware, yes, I'm worrying. I'm worrying, universe. I can feel it. I don't feel balanced. I don't feel at peace. I'm worrying. And the next thing, hold on a second, my dear audience. Yes, and if you're in the queue, if you want to speak with me, just press number 1. The number to call in is area code 646-564-9619. I have about 8 people in the queue just listening. And if you have a question, just press number 1, 646-564-9619. Well, make that 7 people in the queue. Woo! Back to what I was saying. Oh, the worrying. What was my point? Asking for help, asking for assistance, asking for guidance, asking for inspiration. Universe, how do I practice trusting more? How do I let go of worrying? Those 2 questions asked every single day, you will feel a vibrational shift. I'm not going to tell you when, because I have no idea, but you will feel a vibrational shift once you tune in and you ask the universe for assistance. How do I practice trusting more? And the second question is, how do I let go of worrying? How do I let go of a programmed behavior, which is worrying? The very comforting concept that I really feel that I can just sink into is that there is so much evidence in my life, in your life, that the universe provides me with. There's so much evidence, and when I say evidence, I'm talking about the past. There's so much evidence in the past that provides me with confirmation that I am being taken care of, that I am being served, that my destiny, that the reason why, that my experience here, there is a reason for everything that I experience, whether I like it, whether it feels good when I say I like it, whether my ego likes it, whether it feels good, there is a reason and an explanation. Even though I don't see it, feel it, can't put my finger on it at the moment. Everything that happens to us is supposed to happen. Everything that doesn't happen is not supposed to happen. We all have a destiny. We all have a purpose. We are all here to discover the truth. And the truth is beyond the programming. The truth is beyond what we were taught in school. The truth is, what is the most important thing on this planet? What is it? Really, what is it? If you can imagine coming to the end of your days and looking back and saying what was really important. I mean, if you can put yourself in that place and really ask yourself, what would I really want to feel? What would I really want to feel in those last days? What do I want? What's going to be important? And I'm going to go full on because everybody knows I'm a big football fan. Well, not as big as I used to be, but a big football fan. And do you think, this is a question that I have for you. So Tom Brady won 7 Super Bowls, most Super Bowls ever that's ever been won in all of the NFL, in all of the history of the NFL. Do you think Tom Brady is going to be thinking about his Super Bowls at the end of his life? Be a valuable something that, my question, I'm just throwing out the question. Do you think that's going to be something that says, wow, I feel really satisfied, I feel really joyous, I feel really at ease, I feel really at peace because I won 7 Super Bowls? Or even Oscars, Meryl Streep. How many Oscars? I don't know how many Oscars, but she's an excellent actress. Also, do you think that's going to be a factor? Wow, I have 8 Grammys. I have the Grammys. Meryl Streep on her deathbed, and she's got Grammys around her. Do you think that's going to give her any comfort? So when I say that, it's not judging or putting down the awards or putting down any of that hard work to get to achieve. Nothing about putting that down or making a judgment. What I am saying is, what is going to fill up your soul? What is going to be food for your soul? See, I can't believe it's coming at the end of the show, but the food for your soul is what is going to nourish you on your journey. What your soul is equipped with. When I say nourish, what are you feeding your soul? It's feeding the body, and physical body, exercise. But what are you feeding your soul? What are you gifting your soul every day? And one of the gifts is trust. One of the nourishment foods for the soul is trust. Trusting, practicing trusting, letting go. The value of trust is huge. The value of trust means that there's less for you to do. Less for you to do, nothing for you to worry about. The value of practicing trust, and the more your trust grows, the more peace you're going to have. Why couldn't I say that at the beginning of the show? The more you practice your trust, the more peace you will feel. That is a promise. That is the truth. Believe me. Reality Spirituality is heard every Sunday at 9 a.m. My website is RebeccaNorrington.com, 9 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. My website, RebeccaNorrington.com. Follow me on Twitter at RLNorrington. LinkedIn, Instagram handle is Reality Spirituality. I have a few videos on YouTube. My first book, Reality Spirituality, The Truth About Happiness, can be purchased on Amazon.com. And my second book, Program for Unhappiness, is going to be out sometime this year. And until next week, my dear audience, I want you to remember who you are. You're a physical extension of the universe. You're always evolving. You're always changing. You're always growing. Love is patient and love is kind. Be patient and be kind to yourself. Be your own best friend. Remember, you cannot have a happy ending to an unhappy journey. It is about the journey. You've been listening to Reality Spirituality with yours truly, global happiness specialist, Rebecca Norrington. Have a conscious week, and remember, happiness is a practice skill. Your experience in every moment reflects on what you practice. Have a great, conscious week.
Oh, it's time to get real. Oh, yeah. It's a new experience. Reality Spirituality. Yeah, keep your ears open for this one now. Reality Spirituality. You got a question for RLN? Reality Spirituality. Yeah, it's time to get some answers, baby. Reality Spirituality. Oh, now we get real. Reality Spirituality. Yeah, it's time to get down. Reality Spirituality. Yeah, you gonna feel good now.